Okay, TWM pusher watt test with the Turnigy 3536 1800 kV outrunner on a 7x6 prop 4S 2200. I've got the Guardian in here set up for stabilization, and I have my trusty 460 milliamp hour external 2S pack, which won't conflict with the main flight pack if any of the leads, the soldering joints break off, or any uneventuality that has proven time and time again to save my planes. Those who are in disbelief of this always tend to have trouble. I just don't say it. Well, for today's exercise, aircraft number 37, TWM, the Wings Maker DFO32 pusher configuration, which is a customized configuration of the Tangerang method of the TETD, or Tangerang Empire of the Tangerang Dynasties methodologies. This craft would be superior to any large 6S to 8S or 10S jets EDF out there because of its relatively smaller scale and pusher configuration at a high powered push plane. It can easily overtake any expensive jet out there in the market with a simple and high power to weight ratio design. The Guardian is configured with 3 different flight stabilization modes. The switch at the top position here, you see on my Devo 12S transmitter, is the 3D rate mode, which you would normally interpret it as the standard stabilization mode in any of the Lemon or Spectrum receivers, AR that comes with the bind and flight or the ready to fly kits sold by Horizon Hobby. The second mode I have is the 2D heading or 2D mode, which is effectively the safe mode. So however you bank your plane or pitch your plane, it'll hold that attitude and heading. More for beginner pilots, but for advanced pilots like myself, it assists with the overall hands-off in incoming, final approach, or takeoff on the bungee launcher. That would be in the center position. The third position would be defined as a 3D head holding lock mode, which means any deflection input I give and recenter the stick, whatever that orientation the aircraft is in, as long as it's assuming it's aerodynamically able to do so, will hold that position in flight, which could make certain flight configurations interesting and holding a certain flight pattern. So for today's exercise, we're going to be doing a watt power test to see how much amp draw the 7x6 prop will be drawing at the 2200 4S pack, and how much power is going to be generated from aircraft number 37. So let's go here. Got my trusty old Hobbking watt meter, and I'm gonna go to watts. I don't know if you could see, hit watts here, and now at no throttle, the throttle with no throttle input, there is a bias loading of 1.0 0.1 amps and 1.6 watts. This pack fully charged is 16.8. It reads now 16.59 or 16.6, roughly 200 millivolts below the full charge line. That's because I've tested this motor and programmed it with the Hobbking red brick ESC, my trusty old ESC, which requires a external buck regulator. It steps it down to 5 volts and powers the receiver as additional insurance. So I'm going to open the throttle. You can see the numbers changing. We'll see in real time how much this motor is generating. So let's spool up now and see what we got here. Slowly, 4 amps, 4.2, 68 watts. We're generating around 700.5 watts at roughly 15 volts under load. The amps was being recorded, I just didn't read it out loud. So let's try that again. So that was generating around 800 watts actually on a second trial. So by definition, unlimited vertical, you need 150 watts per pound of all-up weight, or AUW, on an aircraft. And we're generating around 850 watts at 61 amps. The underload voltage is a little bit saggy, under 14.8 volts, which I don't really like, but in the air that value will offload. Let's try it a third time and see what numbers we get here. $875 watts, around 62 amps, and high 13 volts or low 14 volt under load, which means in the air that value with dynamic throttle control I'm not too worried about, especially we're testing this under forced static conditions. Worst case, in the air this value will likely reach the 14.8 volts and surpass that value. I'm not too worried about the setup. The fact is we're getting around 850 watts, or a little bit over 850 watts of power for a wingspan that's around 900 millimeters. This will be a pursuit craft. Like I've said, the amount of power this thing generates and the efficiency of the wing design will facilitate a high-speed pursuit craft that will patrol any arena and contest any plane out there that tries to overtake it. This is your host, Lord Emperor, signing off.